Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this afternoon. This afternoon, we'll be coming off on efficient supply chain management using Dynamics 365 Business Central. A little bit about the speakers. My name is Brian Pelster. I'll be the host this afternoon. I'm a business development manager for Professional Advantage. I've been with the company for going on for 7 years now. Prior to that, I ran a couple of businesses myself, so I've had exposure on both sides of the fence, one working for an IT provider and one actually being serviced by an IT provider. And most of my roles were really around finance and operations. So got a really good feel for the full spectrum of what business actually needs to run on. Our main presenter today is Sammy Pincus. So Sammy, as you can see, has got a wealth of knowledge, over 35 years working in the industry, solving problems for people, coming up with innovation, coming up with great ideas. One of the great things about Sammy is that he's worked with Navision, which is the precursor to Business Central, and he's a lead Microsoft certified trainer. Very colourful character, and I'm delighted to be on the forum with him today. Just a little bit about Professional Advantage. Today's focus, as you're well aware, is around Business Central, which is an ERP offering from Microsoft. But as a company, we do provide a lot of other services. And what we look to when we look to engage with our customers and our prospects, we look to actually look at not only the ERP or the financial side of it, but look where the value add comes in. And that can be by way of business process management, it could be by way of business intelligence, and really working with yourselves in order to come up with the best possible solution and model going forward. So we look at the long-term relationship, and again, you can tap here on the shoulder to actually work through any of these work streams that you may have. Just a slide that we thought we really would include, just to give you a bit of background around Business Central as well. Paying it by the numbers. I think some of the key stats that we take out from these numbers as well is that the product's been around in a different guise, let it be Navision, then moving through to Business Central since 2002, which is 18 years in the market. So it does give a lot of credibility in terms of what the product actually is about. It's involved. It's a cloud offering now. It comes from a very good pedigree in terms of Navision from a Microsoft perspective, and that is supported by over 200,000 companies worldwide using this solution. I think that's also a testament to again the longevity of a product and the amount of time and investment that Microsoft has put behind this particular product as well. So I think before we actually get started with the actual presentation, we've got the agenda up there. So a couple of points I just really want to touch on just to support Sammy in terms of what he's going to be working through. I mean, often we ask ourselves, why is supply chain so important to a company? I think three main elements that we take away from this is really around improving customer service, reducing some of the operational costs, and trying to improve the financial position of a company as well. So in terms of improving customer service, if we unpack this a little bit, what we're really trying to do is make sure that we've got the right product mix, the right quantities, and being able to deliver those on time. Furthermore, it's also about the product needs to be in the right location, and being able to follow up and support what the customer's needs are. From reducing operational costs, what do we mean by that? I mean, at the end of the day, we all know that carrying stock and the cost of investment in manufacturing and inventory holdings is very high. So we want to really get to a point where we are as efficient as we can be in terms of managing that whole supply chain, from the actual ordering process to the receiving of the product, the carrying cost, or the time that we actually spend holding the materials, and just being aware and mindful of some of the circumstances that are going around at the moment, and just trying to plan and be a little bit more efficient in terms of what we're doing. So this will send us back to leading to a better financial position. So by managing the inventory levels, ensuring that if you're working on a just-in-time system, that you are not carrying and holding the stock. Also managing the type of stock that you're keeping, ensuring that those are going out and meeting the customer's requirements and not ending up with a whole lot of obsolescence. So in terms of that, supporting that now, so if we flip back to the agenda, I mean, Sammy's going to be covering off on some of those key points, like supply and demand chain, supply and demand at least, when is the stock arriving, what do we, about the automatic replenishment, he's got a little phrase there, can we have more Cocoa Pops? And I think he'll elaborate on that a little bit during the presentation as well. And then really touching on things like drop shipments. We've done what we've done here. We've just pulled out a couple of key elements around supply chain. Obviously, these aren't the be-all and end-all of it. It's a very broad subject. It's a very broad offering. But we really just want to have a starting point and give you a bit of a flavour for what's out there. So I think before we kick off proceedings, we're going to run a little poll just to get a sentiment and just a feel for what are some of the key issues that you in considerations when you are thinking about replenishing inventory. So if you wouldn't mind just spending next 30 seconds just going through that and just itemizing or ticking the one that suits your company best, and then we'll get straight into the presentation. All right, excellent. So I think, we got some really good answers and coming out then by way of percentages. So AB for high DIFOT is ranked number 1, and minimizing the amount of inventory that we carry. And again, those two make sense in the sense that we want to reduce those costs and make sure that we are being as efficient as we can be. With that, thank you very much for completing the poll. I'm going to hand over to the charismatic Sammy to take us through the next 30 minutes in terms of his presentation. Thanks, Sammy.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks very, very much for that lovely intro. G'day, everybody. Sammy Pincus. So we've got a concept, an important concept, the idea of supply and demand. All right, we all know there's a balancing act between the two, supply and demand. So I want to begin by looking at the most basic of demands in any ERP system. So typically the most basic one is sales order. Customer wants some of our stuff and we're going to supply it. So let's just have a look at Business Central and go into sales orders. I want to concentrate and point out some ideas about the dual ideas of inventory, the idea of what we've got on hand versus what inventory is actually available to us. So we're going to spend a bit of time on that and just talk about that for a few minutes. What's inventory and what's on hand. So here in Business Central, I've got this open right now on the screen right there. And let's have a look at what's there. Let's find a sales order. Let's pick, I like ReliCloud. ReliCloud is one of my favorite customers in the system here. All right, it's a sales order inside Business Central. All right, to this guy on this particular date, but we've got a concept in Business Central called the shipment date, the date that it's going to go out the door, the date we're going to ship the goods. We've also got a concept, when does the customer want their stuff? The requested delivery date. So yes, the customer might want it on the 5th of December, which means we might have to ship it earlier than the 5th of December. We might, in this case, have to ship it on the 1st of December. There's a whole lot of parameters around that. I'm not going to go into that today. That's maybe another topic. But we do have a lot of date dependencies in the system. So the shipment date, in this case, is what drives availability. The demand is represented by that shipment date. And we can see it's also represented on the line. Here on the line for the sole guest chair, we also record things like the shipment date and when we plan to deliver that to our customers. So there's all these date dependencies, not for now, it's for another time, but the message I just want to give you for the moment is that the demand is represented by that date. Right, let's have a look at how these things work inside Business Central. I'm going to go in and create a brand new sales order. So here's a brand new sales order. Let's pick, pick another one, Smart Industries, I suppose. Yeah, Smart Industries. I like Smart Industries. They've got an overdue balance. I'm not going to go into that now. Nice to know about it. We can turn it off if we need to for various reasons. But here it is, Smart Industries, and the shipment date is going to be then, and I've got a posting date. That doesn't quite look like the date I want to be set up, but that's okay. Let's go into the inventory stuff. What is it they want? Well, if they want an Athens desk, and let's say they want 10 of these, and they want 10, that's fine. No problem. We're all happy campers. There's no messages, nothing happens. You can have your 10. Thank you very much. We're rolling. Because that should be the huge majority of our time. Okay, but if they wanted, let's say, a Rome chair, if they wanted a Rome chair and they wanted 2 of those, again, no problem. But if they wanted 5 of these guys, we get a little warning message saying, whoa, careful, the inventory is lower than the quantity. So I've put in a quantity of 5, but the inventory is lower. I'm going to come and show details on the next item and the next example I do. But what I wanted to show you here on this line, if I show the fact boxes here on the right, ignore the customer stuff for the moment. I want to go down to the lines area, and I can see on the lines area that the available inventory is I've got 2 in my warehouse right now. And after I take out the 5, I'm going to have -3 available. And so there's the mathematics working for us. This idea of inventory versus available, because the requirement is 5. Mind you, this is a gross requirement of all sales orders, not just this one, but I've just got this one example. So you can see the 5 on both sides. All right, I just wanted to show you that. And the other point of view is we can have availability based on date. I alluded to this before. So if I had a look at the line availability by period and check that period-based availability, let's just scroll back to today's date or the date of the order. And we can see here that on the week beginning, because I'm driving this by week, which I could drive it by month or quarter, but week will do. And if I look at the 12th, the week beginning of the 12th, I've got 2 in the system available. But after the week beginning the 19th, I have a requirement of 5, and so therefore my availability drops down. So guys, the message I want to give you is availability is driven by various things, but in this case, it's availability driven by date. By the way, it can also be driven by the location. In Business Central, location, I've got it over here on the right, I've just moved it temporarily, can be the warehouse. So I might have availability here, but I might not have availability over there. Let's look at another example, which is the Tokyo guest chair. The guest chair is the one I want to look at. And if I look at the guest chair and I key in a quantity of 6, okay, we've said the availability is lower than the quantity. Let's have a look at those details. Okay, so I've keyed in a quantity of 6. They want 6, and the available inventory in all my warehouses is 4. Oh, bummer, I'm down. All right, we're going to be short by -2. Let's have a look at some of this information. I'm short by -2 because my current quantity on the line was 6. Short by -2. And I can tell my customer, oh, mate, look, no worries. We can have it for you on the 12th of January. No problem. But my customer might say, look, 12th of January, oh, man, that's 6 weeks away. Is there anything you can do for me earlier? And we can say, sure, there are some substitutes in the system. We can say that there are other things we can do instead of the Tokyo guest chair. So let's have a look at that. Okay. The Tokyo office chair, got some. Okay, substitutes are available to the guest chair. It's the office chair. But hang on a minute, there's a condition. Oh, let's just check that condition. So yes, we can make the substitution, but you really only want it in emergencies. Okay, fine. Thanks for that. No worries. Can we order it in? Answers, sure. In Business Central, we like to say sure. All right. So at any stage, I could just hit that, create a purchase order, and that would create a purchase order right there and then for that Tokyo guest chair. And we could then run that through the machine and through the purchasing engine, and it would create a purchase order, send it to the supplier, and go through. Right there while we're talking to the customer on the phone. So I just wanted to show you that quick concept of, supply, demand, all that, and what it looks like from a dynamic point of view. Just a quick summary, all right? We mentioned what was demand. sales orders, and it could be lots of other demand, like, you know, components of a manufacturing item. We mentioned the concept of inventory, stock on hand, versus availability, because they're different. They work together, but they're different. I showed you the idea of ordering on the fly, and I showed you the idea of substitutions. I want to go on to the idea of automatic requisitioning, because that's where a lot of this work comes in. So I want to just jump for a moment to this slide. Most of you will be familiar with this sort of inventory story. Okay, this sort of inventory story, we can see it. I've got quantity of stock going down over time. It's going down, it's going down. Oh, I got more in, fantastic, laughing. Oh, we sell more, we sell more, we sell more, we sell more, might go down even lower. Oh, we got some more, fantastic, have a party. And so it goes. So this is a very, very basic cycle, but it's very common. You'd be familiar with it. We know that when it gets to a certain point, right, you have to reorder it, okay? That's the reorder point. These are concepts that you're familiar with. And you know you've got to order it in time for the stock to arrive, okay? You need to have some sort of flexibility in there. We need a lead time. The lead time's there because I don't want the stock to run out before I get it to arrive. And we've got to have a bit of fat in there in case of delays. I don't want to run out, and I want to keep my customers happy, of course, right? So I've got to build in some sort of cushion. That's called the safety stock. So some of you may have heard of an association called the Association for Supply Chain Management, ASCM, more commonly known or historically known as APIX. A lot of people have heard of APIX, but the ASCM principle, remember it's the same organization, is that you should, if there's no demand, you order up to the safety stock. If there's no demand, you should always keep on hand safety stock. All right. Business Central will do the same. Business Central will replenish up to the safety stock if there's no demand. Okay. So let's have a look at this inside Business Central. We'll come back here. All right. Let's have a tour of an item card and check these fields. So here's inventory, here's my items, and here's an Athens desk. Let's have a look at some of this stuff. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, just because I want to make sure we've got enough time for everything. All right. I can see here I've got inventory on hand and some purchase orders and sales orders. That's not where I want to focus at the moment. Where I want to go is this replenishment area. There's a few ways we can replenish. I can make the stuff, that's production, but my Athens desk, I purchase. I could assemble it, not for the Athens desk. I purchase the Athens desk. So I don't make it, I don't transfer it, I don't assemble it. This one is a purchase. And these same, and all the replenishment parameters that I'm going to show you in the next couple of minutes, all right, apply to both production and to purchase. All right, so we've got a lead time. It takes 4 weeks to come in. It takes 4 weeks to come in from that vendor. It takes 4 weeks to come in from that vendor, and we can record the item number from that vendor. All right, so we can order with their item number. It's always good to have. And we can purchase it with different units of measure. So that's really good. We can like store it by the each, buy it by the pallet, sell it by the carton, and so on and so on. So we can have lots and lots of conversions and units of measure. All right. So we can have that. We can, of course, have different vendors, different people from whom we buy it. So if I look at the alternate vendors, we might buy it from vendor 10,000 with their number, but whoa, 3 months, man, I'm not waiting that long. No wonder my other vendor is the preferred vendor. And then I could buy it from that guy, but I'm going to wait 4 months for that. That's a very, very long time. So we do have alternate vendor numbers. So we can have that in our system as well. Let's have a look at the planning parameters. This is more about what we talked about in the graph. All right. Just pointing out a few things. There's the reorder point, 25. Okay. So when it gets down to 25, that's when we're going to reorder it. And my safety stock is sitting at 7 in the system. No problem. How do I reorder it? There's a concept called lot for lot reordering. What that means is take all the demand in the system, sales orders, manufacturing orders, transfer orders, anything that's due to go out, consolidate it all into one big purchase order. That's lot for lot. People generally don't set up the order model, which is one demand, one sales order equals one purchase order. Very uncommon. A lot of people like to order up to the maximum quantity. That was the graph I showed you before, that idea of maximum quantity. So a lot of people order up to the max. Fantastic. You can see on the right-hand side of my screen, there's maximum inventory. We can do that. Not a problem. And some people like to order a fixed reorder quantity. That is every time I always order 20 of them, that sort of thing. But lot for lot is the most common, followed by maximum quantity. No problem. And different items can have different models. So you can have a lot for lot model operating for some of your items and a maximum quantity operating on some of your other items. At any stage, right? So when the system will do the lot for lot, it'll create a purchase order. And it even has things like an MOQ parameter. So always order a minimum of that number. Sometimes there's a maximum. It's unusual, but it does happen. And order multiples are very common these days. You can only order in, let's say, multiples of 3 or 10 or 12, whatever it is that the supplier might dictate. So this is a very common model. I just wanted to show you those automatic requisitioning parameters. But let's go in and do some requisitioning, okay? Let's go in and do some automatic requisitioning. It's called the requisition worksheet inside Business Central. This is the requisition worksheet, all right? This is the sheet. This is like the shopping list on your fridge at home, all right? And as you run out of things, I mean, we've done this before, guys. You run out of things in the pantry and you ask mum or dad, can you buy more Cocoa Pops, please? And we write on the shopping list on the fridge, more Cocoa Pops. Or you run out of Vegemite and you write Vegemite on the list. But just because they've written it on the list doesn't mean they're going to buy it. That's the important thing. This thing here, this whole list here is just a suggestion, and it can be overridden by the purchasing department. So just because you've asked for Cocoa Pops doesn't mean you're going to get Cocoa Pops, okay? So it's got to agree. And even if the system suggests, the purchasing officer can override. That's a nice model we've got here. So what some people do, by the way, this can be filled in manually. A lot of people don't. But I did have a client a while ago that would come in, and as the staff would see that things needed filling in, they came and they populated this and they say, look, I need another 20 of these, or I need another few of these. And as they got populated, you know, as they ran out, they just write it up on the list, write it up on the shopping list on the fridge. So that works, that's fine, that's not a problem. Most people don't work that way. I mean, that was just one client a few years ago that I had. Most people want to do this automatically. So let's have a look at this. We'd go and say, just calculate my plan, please. What does this plan do? It's going to look at all my demand in the system. It's going to go back. I like to go back in time a little bit. I like to go back, you know, a few days, a few weeks, even a month or two, because if there's any unfulfilled demand from back then, I want it taken into account in my requisitioning. And I want to look forward up to a few months forward. because that will depend on how much stock you buy, because if you look too far forward, you'll fill that demand or don't fill that demand. And the system does have the capability to use a forecast. How great is that? So we can actually put in not real demand, but forecasted demand in the system. So we can put that in there as well. All right. So let's have a look at this. We'll hit Oakley Dokley. And the system will go and calculate a plan, a requisition plan. I'm going to order some of this and some of this and some of this. Remember that underlying principle that it will order up to the safety stock and then make sure it fills any demand as well. So at a minimum, it orders up to the safety stock. So there's a lot here. I'm just going to focus on a few things at the moment because of our limited time. Let's focus on this Mexico chair. All right. I'm just going to filter to this value because I want to focus our attention. So let's filter to this value right there. Let's have a look at each of these and see what's there. Right. It's going to order 13. All right. Something I do know about it is I can do this availability. Remember we looked at availability before? Yeah, well, we can do availability here. Last time we did it by period, but this time I'm going to do it by event. Remember, we can have different locations, warehouses. I've ignored that for this session. So if we look at availability by event, it's telling us that, oh, I've got a sales order in the system for 13. Boy, is that old. May. We better really rush this through. Okay, this is very important. We've got to really get this, bring this baby home. So 13 of them. No, I don't want to change that. 13 of them. So there's that 13. We've got to fill that. We've got to get that really quickly. Let's just check the 13. We'll do something called order tracking. We'll see a lot of this in the next few minutes. Back from even before our planning date. Remember, we started on the 1st of November. Check the untracked quantity, and it's telling me that I've got this emergency order out there. Hurry up. We've got to get that in. So that's why it's put that in by itself as a line. And you'll notice there on the right-hand side, it's due even before we started planning. That's when it was due. Oh my God, even before we start planning. So that's the first line. But what about this line of 26? What's going on here? Let's check that order tracking again. We always go to order tracking and look at the 26. Safety stock. Remember we talked about safety stock? Safety stock tells us that we've got to get 26 of them. Remember, I can go to the item card at any stage. And the 1968S Mexico chair has a safety stock of, ta-da, 26. Okay. It always orders up to the safety stock after there's no demand. Of course, if there's forecasted demand, we're going to meet that. All right. That's how I've set up the parameters here in this example. There are many ways to set up the parameters, and when we do our workshops, when we do our analysis and design, our configuration, we work out what's the best for you. All right, let's have a look at a couple of different items here. I'm just watching the time. Clear that filter. And I want to look at this guy right here, 2008. And we'll filter to this value. This is telling a different story. It's saying create a new purchase for 6, cancel a purchase for 25, and create a new one for 10. It's an interesting story. What's going on? Let's have a look. All right, just have a quick look at the item card. Remember, you don't normally do it in this detail, but I'm showing you each examples here. All right, we've got none on inventory. I've got 4 on a sales order or sales orders. I don't know. I don't need to know. I've got 25 on a purchase order. And I scroll down. I've got an MOQ of 10. Okay, so thanks for that. Let's now ask, that's the background information. So let's have a look at this 6. What's going on with the 6? all right? My current line, there's 4, the demand of the sales order. It's going to order 6. So what's with the 2? The 2 gets us up to safety stock, all right? It's our 4 plus 2 equals 6, all right? So that's that line over there. So why doesn't it order 10? Because we have to rush this. This is rushing to fulfill an old order. We might have to air freight this in, so we don't want to air freight more than we absolutely have to. I have to cancel 25. The 6 has met our minimum order. Sorry, our safety stock holding. The 6 has met that. There's no more demand. So we only have to hold up to safety stock. There's no more demand. There's no more forecasted demand. We can cancel the 10. Sorry, cancel the 25. But then why do we need to order 10? Because we still have to get up to safety stock. All right. So the date of that, we don't have to air freight that in. We can say that can come in a bit slower. 6 minus our 4, we have 2 on the shelf. We can cancel the 25, have the 10. All right. I've done that a little bit quickly. I know I have. I'm just watching the time. We've done that a little bit quickly. So I'll move on from there. I'll delete those lines while I'm here because I want to focus on other things in our requisitioning. We'll turn off the filter. All right. So there's our requisition plan, our requisition worksheet. We can change quantities, delete lines, put in lines, whatever we want, whatever our purchasing officer does. To make things more efficient for us, we should order and consolidate all our purchase orders together. So you notice here we've got lots of lines for 20,000, lots of lines for 30,000, vendor 10,000 is going to, I'll just sort that just so that you can see. Vendor 10,000 is going to get 2 lines, vendor 20,000 is going to get 6, 7 lines, 30,000 is going to get 3 lines. Because when we go and say, man, I've finished examining this, I've done all the examining I want to, end of story, let's just go straight through and carry out my action message, the system will go and create brand new purchase orders. If we look at purchase orders in the system, we've got a few released purchase orders. I've got a couple of open ones. They've just been created now. And if I look at them, I'll pick one at random, that one there, first up consultants. If we have a look, they're all the line items that are going to be ordered. And each one might be coming through at a different set of dates. That's why we've got things multiple times. We can say we're having things received on a particular set of dates. Guys, last thing I want to show you. I want to just discuss the idea of the way we can improve our customer service. Yes, I know we purchase stuff and that comes into our warehouse. We have to unpack it and then ship it out to our customers. But sometimes we want to improve our customer service by shipping directly to our customers. And that's called a drop shipment, a drop shipment. We order from our suppliers to drop the shipment directly to our customers. Do not pass go. We save our $200. We want to go directly there. All right, so I've set up an order in the system, a sales order in the system already for Smart Industries. And Smart Industries is going to be shipped to, the sales order is going to be shipped to Remote Industries in Bulleen. But what I've said on the line here is that this is a drop shipment. And I've even typed in extra description in here with an extra wheel. Fantastic. I flagged it as a drop shipment in the sales order. So now when I go and do my requisitioning, which is the purchase officer does in my requisition worksheet, and I don't now say calculate, is examine things from a drop shipment point of view, get me my sales orders, and simply say, get my sales orders for drop shipments And there's that one with the extra wheel. Again, the purchasing officer can change or do whatever. All right. And then this can be added to your previous requisition worksheet. There's a tongue twister. The previous requisition worksheet. But what I want to do is highlight it. So I did it separately. Carry out the plan. And a purchase order will be created. Do I have still the list of purchase orders here? It's over here. Purchase orders. And I look at the last one there. The purchase order is for that, flagged as a drop shipment. But look where it's going to. The purchase order is going to be shipped to the customer's address, to Remote Industries in Bulleen. Do not pass go, do not click 200. Right here. And the purchase order and the sales order are linked. You can go from the purchase order, which I'm editing. I could go straight from here and just check the sales order, which I'm not editing because I'm the purchasing guy. I'm not editing the sales order. And this is the sales order. So the two are linked together. And if you make changes, then there's a method to make those changes. All right. But the two are linked. And the nice thing is once the purchase order is flagged as received, the sales order will be automatically flagged as shipped to the customer. Beautiful. One step, everything's done. Guys, let me summarize what we've done today. I know I've done this quite quickly, but if you need more information, you can contact us. Let me just summarize what we've done. We've discussed the concepts of supply and demand. Okay, we've talked about this thing. We've talked about the concept of inventory, what's on the shelf versus availability, what's available to be sold. All right, and remember, availability is date-based, location-based, event-based. It can be aimed at all sorts of things. Remember, we're trying to keep our DIFOT high, so there's always a balancing act about this demand and supply. I showed you the requisition parameters and processes. We spent a bit of time on this, compliant with ASCM principles, and how Business Central balances the cost of holding too much stock. Remember DIFOT, we want to keep our customers happy, but versus keeping less stock, keeping less money sitting on the shelf. And then we had a quick look at shipping directly to customers, keeping them happy and improving our processes. That's what we covered today. So thanks, guys. With that, I'm going to hand back to Brian.
Just in terms of contact details, as I mentioned in the beginning, my name is Brian Pelser. Please reach out to me or your account manager. I'm sure they'll be able to set up a conversation with one of our consultants to actually guide you through the next stage. So what we're going to offer you guys is a free discovery session with one of our Dynamics 365 Business Central consultants, where you can discuss your current requirements and your challenges that you do have. So guys, thank you very much and have a great day.